Marvel recently, well, not Marvel themselves, one of their executive producers by the name of Victoria Alonso had an interview in a Spanish publication called Clarín, to where she pretty much confirmed for the Black Panther 2 movie that Marvel will not be using a digital double of Chadwick Boseman. She quickly dismissed it by saying, "No, there is only one Chadwick and he's not with us. Our king, unfortunately, has died in real life, not just in fiction. And we are taking a little time to see how we return to history and what we do to honor this chapter of what has happened to us that was so unexpected, so painful, so terrible." Got a little choked up there just reading that, but Alonso added that no decision has been made yet about what Marvel will do with the Black Panther franchise now. Quote, "I know that sometimes 2 months go by or 3 months go by in production and one says already it was a long time ago. But it is not a long time. We have to think carefully about what we are going to do and think about how we are going to honor the franchise. Now, granted, we will say this for as long as we live, probably, until we decide to feel different. But right now, the wound is still pretty fresh. And a lot of us are actively still saying that there is no one that could replace Chadwick Boseman. The man, Chadwick, no, absolutely no one could replace that man. That man was probably one of the best men ever to live, you know? He was a great guy. Talented, cultured, just dope dude all around. But as far as replacing him as Black Panther, I think it's very possible. As a matter of fact, I have a candidate. His name is Ilan Noel. Ilan Noel, if you all have watched the HBO show Insecure from Issa Rae, Ilan Noel plays Daniel King, the guy who, I wouldn't say he was responsible, but he played a part in breaking up Issa and Lawrence in season 1. He also was in the movie The First Purge as Dimitri. I'm not sure if you all saw that or not. Pretty racist movie, if I say so myself. But Dimitri, he was a drug lord in the movie, but kind of a community guy as well. You know how the dope boys are. They're community dudes, but they sell drugs. Anyway, Ilan Noel handled himself pretty well in that stairwell scene. A lot of the action scenes that he had, and my wife will tell you this is absolutely true. When I watched this movie for the first time, I was like, yo, dude could have been Black Panther. Just the way he handled himself on screen in his action scenes, I was like, yo, he over there breaking up Issa and Lawrence, but he could have been the king of Wakanda. Marvel, if you are listening, you may have your replacement already in Ilan Noel. But as far as the plans for the movie goes, here's how I have it. T'Challa is missing during an intergalactic mission in the wake of Iron Man's sacrifice and Thanos being snapped away. He and a group of other Wakandans embarked on this mission to ensure that none of Thanos' Black Order or his sympathizers were left. Now, you could use this to introduce Kang. Shuri is the Black Panther in the sequel, hands down. In the comics, Bast rejects her from having the strength of the Black Panther from the heart-shaped herb because of her envy of T'Challa. Now, you could flip that in the film story to where she feels she's unworthy because her brother is gone. Now, right there, you're honoring Chadwick. You could then use the next Avengers movie to bring back a recast T'Challa to take back the mantle in time for Black Panther 3. Once again, I have given you the cheat code. You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, blurs and nerds, freaks and geeks, live from DYSG Studios, this is Do You Speak Geek, episode 55. Welcome to the ride, everybody. I am Nix, and this is Do You Speak Geek. Welcome back to all of the avid listeners. Thank you so much for just riding with me, y'all. I love my listeners. I love my family out there. I love y'all so much. So thank y'all for listening. For those who have been listening, for those who have been sharing my podcast, thank you so much. I love y'all so much out there. And if you just joined for the first time, welcome. This is Do You Speak Geek, the place where you can get all your geek news, get some opinions, and, we can have a good time here too. Shout out to all the subscribers out there who have been subscribing and following along. Shout out to Spreaker, the home team, where you can find all of the podcast episodes of Do You Speak Geek. Also, other outlets such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many, many more. DoYouSpeakGeek.com. It is the central hub for everything DYSG. We have blog entries now, so please be sure to check that out when you get an opportunity to. Also, our social media platforms, Facebook at DYSGFB, Twitter at DYSG_tweets, and Instagram at Do You Speak Geek. The YouTube channel, where you can find the Dono and Daddy Show, is the only place to find that. Please be sure to subscribe, like, Hulk, smash that bell for all notifications, and leave your comments. We want to know what everyone thinks. I got my coffee. I'm ready to rock and roll with y'all. Nothing really big. Outside of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox dropping, but we talked about that last week. So not really a lot to cover there. So we're going to go ahead and jump into my favorite portion of the show, Source Wall.
Man, you come right out of a comic book.
Behold the Source Wall.
Can you read, my son?
Well, that depends.
There is nothing wrong with reading a story and looking at the pictures.
Enough said, Stan. Let's jump right into the pull list. Pretty heavy pull list this week, I will say. So we got Hellboy and the BPRD, the Seven Wives Club #1. The team behind the Eisner Award-winning one-shot Hellboy Krampenstadt spins a new ghostly yarn. Hellboy comes to the aid of a young girl whose ghost hunt goes wrong, and a visit to an abandoned medical school reveals sinister layers to a grisly, long-ago murder. Stolen cadavers, vengeful spirits, and more abound in this one-shot book. Hellboy creator Mike Mignola returns with fan-favorite artist Adam Hughes for a spirit-fueled scream fest sure to excite old and new fans alike. Be sure to check this one out. Punchline Special #1. Spitting out of the pages of the Joker War comes the first solo book starring the blockbuster new character Punchline. As she faces the consequences of her role in the Joker War, the story of how Alexis K became Punchline will take Leslie Tompkins, Harper Row, and Cullen Row on a harrowing journey that reveals a fringe teenager's radicalizations to the ideology of a madman. Kind of guess who that madman is. It's a terrifying tale so big it demanded an oversized special issue. I know a lot of people have really gravitated toward Punchline, so if this is a book for you, please be sure to go check that one out. Power Rangers #1. Superstar writer Ryan Parrott and fan favorite artist Francisco Martorino reveal a new cosmic threat that only the original Power Rangers, now known as the Omega Rangers, Jason, Trini, and Zack, can hope to defeat. But their secret weapon is the villainous Lord Drakon. Zordon forbids the Omega Rangers from contacting Drakon, so if they want to save the universe, then they'll have to go rogue and go up against their Mighty Morphin allies. Oh boy. We'll see what happens on that one. Alright, we got Kick-Ass versus Hit Girl #1. Old allies become enemies when Mindy screeches into Albuquerque to kill the imposter who's been running gangs in New Mexico. And as Hit Girl sets out to avenge Dave and stop Kick-Ass's criminal operation for good, Patience fights to survive as the target of the best assassin in the biz, and questions whether she could ever kill a child to save her own life. Well, I know Hit Girl as a kid, but if that kid ever came across me, that kid has to get put down. Of course, I'd probably be killed myself, but That's neither here nor there. Moving on. Now, this was the Source Wall Wednesday pick of the week. Hot Valley Days and Cocaine Nights #1. The true story of a 15-year-old streetwise girl named Janie Bleep. Back in 1978, Janie left behind her abusive past in small-town Ohio and hitchhiked to LA. There, she soon found out her neighbor's business was all about cocaina. For the next 8 years, Janie worked to hustle cocaine for the cartel at clubs and parties, selling to the rich, famous, and powerful. Then she decided to stop selling and the trouble started. The bright lights of the big city make this rainbow hollow foil shine even more. All you urban cowboys and girls who just want to have fun are going to want your piece of this. This was a fun story to read. I cannot wait for the rest of the 2 issues. This is going to be a good one. I can't wait. This is, please read this book. This is awesome. And finally, we have Taskmaster #1. Taskmaster has murdered Maria Hill. Or at least that's what the whole world thinks. Now the greatest spies in the business are hunting him down and won't stop until Taskmaster is dead or clears his own name. Follow Jed McKay and Alessandro Vitti on a global spanning adventure that will send ripples through every corner of the Marvel Universe's espionage community. Pretty good one. Could have been a little better than me personally, but still good. Now in Source Wall news, DC names Maria Javins as new editor-in-chief. Javins was DC's executive editor of global publishing and digital strategy before this promotion and has worked editing titles such as Justice League, DC Superhero Girls, and Dark Knight's Death Metal. In a statement, DC Senior Vice President and General Manager Daniel Cherry III said the following: Marie intrinsically understands the power of comics and their unique ability to entertain and empower, which makes her a perfect choice to be DC's next editor-in-chief. She's also incredibly committed to increasing access to this amazing industry by mentoring the next generation of comic book creators and helping them find their voices. In her new role, Javins will be responsible for developing and overseeing the execution of the company's annual publishing schedule to grow all DC imprints. She'll also lead the strategy for expanding the worldwide consumer reach of DC publishing content and provide editorial and creative directions for DC imprints. Working closely with Cherry and publisher and creative officer Jim Lee, she'll help define positioning, character narratives, and prioritization, create talent selection, and brand attributes for each imprint, and develop publishing plans with lead editors. Sounds like a mouthful. Ms. Javins, if I could just make a request, can we get a book with all 4 of the former Robins? Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, and the current Robin, Damian Wayne. Can we get that book? I don't know. I have a few ideas. Reach out to me at doyouspeakgeek.com. Thank you. Okay. Let's watch this.
Watch this, y'all. Thunder. Thunder. Thunder.
Lannister always pays his debts.
Whoa, dude. I am the villain of the story.
All right, and watch this TV and movie news. WandaVision has a release date. Marvel and Disney announced on social media that WandaVision will premiere on the greatest day in the world, people, and there's no greater day than it could be released on. And do you know what day that is? It will be released on January the 15th. Why is that day so awesome? It is the birthday of yours truly. This is certainly later than fans had hoped, given that 2020 has been entirely void of anything new from Marvel Studios, and it seems like a foregone conclusion that WandaVision would be arriving in December. Still, we now have a date to mark on our calendars for the official return to the franchise. The first proper series of shows set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe will reunite Scarlet Witch and the Vision as they navigate a mysterious reality that captures their lives in a conventional format of sitcoms throughout the decades. WandaVision was originally meant to follow up the Falcon and Winter Soldier, but like many other Marvel Studios projects, they were delayed due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic and the resulting setbacks that continue to affect Hollywood. It's just being released on January 15th. That's all I care about. It's going to be a good birthday. I can't wait to see this show. Kevin Feige even mentioned that it's going to be one big reward fest for all fans who have been following all the MCU movies from beginning to end here. So hopefully we get some things. Hopefully we get some rewards. Umbrella Academy season 3 has been officially renewed by Netflix. Now I know a lot of people had saw this and thought like, why would they not renew it? But it's Netflix. You need that confirmation. Officially renewed, the upcoming third season will once again feature 10 new episodes, just as the past 2 seasons have. The Umbrella Academy Season 3 will see the cast of Season 2 reprise all their roles, including Ellen Page, Tom Hopper, David Castellaneta, Emmy Raver-Lampin, Robert Sheehan, Adrian Gallagher, Justin H. Min, Ritu Ari, and Cole Fiore. Also returning is showrunner Steve Blackman, who will also serve as executive producer. Currently, there is no release window for the upcoming season. While no plot details have been released yet, the comics may point to the introduction of parallel universes and supervillains potentially arriving in Season 3. The way Season 2 ended, can't wait for this one. It's going to be dope. Dwayne Johnson will produce, but not star, in the Scorpion King reboot. Now, Deadline reports that the Universal Pictures will likely get a new actor to play the role given Johnson's busy schedule, but Johnson is passionate enough about the project that there's still a chance he will appear in the movie. The reboot will take place in modern times and will be written by Straight Outta Compton writer Jonathan Herman. The Scorpion King, to me, wasn't a really big of a movie for it even to be remade, let alone to have gotten the many sequels as it got. I mean, I think I think the Scorpion King got about maybe 3-4 sequels, didn't it not? And I don't think it deserved that many. Obviously, The Rock feels very strong about this project, and he may cast himself in it somewhere along the point. But hopefully we see what happens with this one. The Black Lightning spinoff for Painkiller. How about that? Didn't see that coming. So the CW has reportedly asked the producers of Black Lightning for a backdoor pilot that would help set up a potential Painkiller spinoff. While the hope is to launch a new series, the pilot will not be a standalone Painkiller episode, but rather an episode Black Lightning that will air during the upcoming 4th season. Variety reported that Black Lightning executive producers Salim Akil and Mara Brock Akil would also produce a potential Painkiller series with Akil directing the episode. Now, this is the quote here for the premise of the show. Based on characters created by DC, by Tony Isabella and with Eddie Newell, Painkiller follows Khalil Payne, portrayed by Jordan Calloway, a young man ridden with the guilt of his troubled past from his former life in Freeland City. As a super-enhanced killing machine known as Painkiller, he was both a member of Tobias Whale's gang and a weapon of Agent Odell and the shadowy ASA. After attempting to bury the darker, devastatingly lethal Painkiller part of his persona, Khalil has distanced himself away from everyone he knows and loves in a new city, Akashic Valley, in order to find peace, but peace never comes easy for men with a past like his. As violent, destructive history clashes with idyllic new beginnings, Khalil is thrust back into action with a new mission, bringing justice where he once gave out punishment, but to do that, he will first have to deal with and harness his darker side. Like I said before, I wasn't really expecting this sort of a move to happen from DC. I would have thought maybe perhaps that if anyone was going to get a spinoff, it'd be one of Black Lightning's daughters, Thunder, maybe even Lightning, maybe a spinoff series for them both, Thunder and Lightning. But a Painkiller series, I didn't see that coming. Also in Black Lightning news, Chantel Thuy, who's Grace Choi, she has now been promoted to a series regular. So congratulations to her on that one. Can't wait to see more of her on the show. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more DYSG. Welcome back to the ride, folks. Let's hop into Thumb Life.
Peace, love, and video games!
That sound like Donkey Kong.
That man is playing Galaga.
All right, gamers. AEW Games had a special game event. AEW revealed the new details on its first ever AEW game special, and that's where we learned that the AEW team, get this people, they are teaming up with Ukes, the team responsible for the classic SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, and who used to develop the WWE 2K series before the god-awful Visual Concepts took over, on a brand new series. A release date and title were not revealed, and the initial footage involving Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, and Hikaru Shida was shown. Very, very pre-alpha. It probably isn't even gameplay. It looked like something that was just put together as far as CGI goes to kind of show you what the game is possibly going to look like. But this is definitely not game footage, so all you guys out there complaining, especially you WWE smarks, calm down. It's not the full game yet. It's very, very, very early. Now, this was not the only game teased. Now, before we go back to that, let's also remember that not only is the AEW game being produced by Ukes, but the AEW game has a director in Hideki Iwashida. I butchered his name completely. But Geta, he has signed on to develop the game as well too, to be the director of the AEW title. Now, if you all don't know who that is, Geta is the director of the ever classic, unbeatable, undefeatable, legendary WWF No Mercy from back on the 64 in the year 2000. People, this AEW game has elements of the two GOATs of wrestling games. This is theirs to lose. They are completely set up to win here. This game is probably going to be the greatest wrestling game of all time. Again, not the only game teased. Other games included a currently untitled console game developed by Ukes. They also had an AEW Double or Nothing casino game and a mobile game as well too, kind of card style as well. So we'll see how those goes with the AEW General Manager and the AEW Double or Nothing mobile games as well. Reviews for a couple of games here. First of all, we have Spider-Man Miles Morales review. Just so you guys know, Dono is killing that game. He is on it 24/7, and it looks good. He is enjoying himself, so if nothing else, take his word for it. It's an awesome game. Miles Morales might not be quite as packed with content as the original, but it stands out as an essential story in Insomniac's Spider-Universe. It earns its spot with a fantastic follow-up, teasing a wonderful Miles-specific story while improving upon the fundamentals from the first game with distinctive moves and enemies. And in its excellent way to break you in your PS5, it looks spectacular, loads fast, and makes fun use of the DualSense controller, the directional audio, and more. But regardless of which generation you play it on, it's a worthy follow-up to one of the best superhero games ever made. I've been playing on the PS4. I haven't been fortunate enough to get my hands on a PS5. Spreaker, if you're listening, I'll plug you guys a lot. Send me a PS5. But dope game no less. Check it out no matter what platform you have. And Godfall review. Oh boy, I was expecting so much from Godfall, but it seemed to let me down. Godfall can be enjoyable and lovingly gear-based action game while it lasts, but the repetition of its missions wears very thin before the end of its campaign, and even thinner in the end game afterward. Its combat is packed full of decisions to make, and a healthy mix of familiar and genuinely novel mechanics. But its Valor Plate suits the Valor Plate suits aren't as mechanically diverse as they initially seems. and their gorgeous exteriors. So that's that. With neither an interesting story nor a deep pool of varied content, all the choice Godfall offers doesn't amount to much more than a bit of brief and shallow fun. Yeah, I was expecting more from Godfall, but maybe some of us will love it more than I did. Let's speak technical for a moment.
Technically speaking,
your technological advancements.
1.21 gigawatts!
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Okay, technically speaking, Apple has another event. I feel like I'm saying that at least every other episode, but hopefully this is the last one. So the Apple MacBook event of 2020, Apple announced a new line of MacBooks powered by Apple's own ARM processors that have only lived in its iPhones and iPads thus far. Now, the MacBook Air is the first MacBook that will come running with Apple's own M1 processor. Equipped with an 8-core ARM processor, Apple claims its CPU is 3 times faster, while the GPU is 5 times faster than the previous model. Also armed with the latest flash technology, the MacBook Air also features 2 times faster solid-state drive performance. Compared to Windows laptops, Apple claims the MacBook Air is 3 times faster, and 98% of all PC laptops sold last year. Big claim to make, but yeah, it's a big claim to make. The MacBook Air otherwise is outfitted with a 13.3-inch display, Wi-Fi 6, 2 Thunderbolt ports with a USB 4 support, and lastly Touch ID, just like the previous model. Additionally, the MacBook Air with M1 promises up to 18 hours of battery life for video playback and 15 hours of web browsing time. The MacBook Air also runs completely silent now that it doesn't feature an internal cooling fan. The MacBook Air starts out at $999 and it's available starting next week. An educational user gets a slight discount at about $100 less. It will be available for pre-order now. Configuration starts at about 8 gigabytes of RAM up to 250 gigabytes of storage. That's starting point. Please be sure to check that out. Get yourself a MacBook Air. But if that's not powerful enough for you, let's move on to the Pro. Apple also announced the first M1 powered MacBook Pro. The new Pro model aims to deliver 2.8 times faster GPU and a 2.8 times faster CPU and a 5 times faster GPU. The latter of which will allow the MacBook Pro to drive the Apple Pro Display XDR in its full 6K resolution. With all the added performance, the new MacBook Pro can play back 8K ProRes video in Resolve without dropping a single frame. Apple claims the new MacBook Pro will be 3 times faster than the best-selling Windows laptop in its class. What wasn't so impressive about the MacBook Pro is that it has 2 fewer Thunderbolts than they support now with USB. Sadly, both these ports are also located on the left side of the notebook, so users won't be able to charge their machines or have peripherals connected from either side. MacBook Pro retails at $1,300, and educational users, of course, pay $100 less. It's available for pre-order now, starting at 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabyte solid-state drive. While storage is expandable up to 2 terabytes, memory is limited to a disappointing 16 gigabytes. Ugh. More powerful, a lot less features. MacBook Air still looking good. Mac Mini. The M1 processor is also coming for an update to the Mac Mini as well. The new model supposedly has a 3 times faster CPU and a 6 times faster GPU. The graphics on the Mac Mini are so good, users can expect 4 times higher frame per second while playing games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and 6 times faster complex timeline renders in Final Cut Pro. As for the Windows desktop to the Mac Mini comparison, Apple claims it can offer a 5 times faster performance in the top-selling PC. A lot of claims here, but we're going to see what's up. Apple also has revised the ports on the back of the Mac Mini. Rather than having 4 USB-C Thunderbolt ports, the new Mac Mini comes with only 2 that double as USB 4 ports. At least the Mac Mini has retained its HDMI 2.0 and its 2 USB-A ports, The HDMI port is hardly enough to drive a 4K TV or 4K monitor at 60 Hz. But the Thunderbolt port has more bandwidth to drive up and 6K resolution with 60 Hz. Mac Minis are going to start out at $699, $100 less than the previous quad-core Intel model, and it's available for pre-order now. Starting configurations, of course, 8GB of RAM, 250GB storage. Now, before we get out of here, in other news, Zelina Vega was dropped from WWE. Now, this happened on Friday night, and the company released an official statement saying that we have come to terms to release Zelina Vega. And as always, the classic line, we wish her the best on all her future endeavors. So yeah, she got future endeavored. The move will undoubtedly come as a shock. Vega had become a staple on Monday Night Raw before being moved over to SmackDown. She was the valet or manager for Andrade and Angel Garza. Definitely helped Andrade in NXT manage that guy to a championship. Vega has been a successful streamer on Twitch and even recently started an OnlyFans page for her cosplay costumes. Recently, WWE changed their policy as it relates to talent's ability to profit on third-party platforms like Twitch or Cameo. No longer are talent able to do that without WWE getting a cut of the profits. It also looks like WWE could be launching their own Twitch channel soon, and they want to be in charge of their talent's presence there. WWE's new policy has caused criticism, given talent classification as independent contractors rather than employees. Former presidential candidate Andrew Yang has even spoken out on the issue, noting his belief that WWE's classification of their employees is misguided and unfair, and he hopes to be able to help remedy the situation in the upcoming Biden administration. The argument is that if you aren't classifying talent as employees, you shouldn't have this much control over their outside activities. Now, we've been kind of avoiding this topic here on the show, and I'll just say this and then I'll go ahead and get out of here like I always do. I understand both sides of this thing. While Vince is definitely a greedy, old, out-of-touch man, his contracts are probably airtight. While it does say independent contractor, I'm pretty sure that with that independent contractor, it's probably more for things like you're independent contractor, so you're responsible for your own this or your own that, and he doesn't have to pay for those things. Probably more so insurance. But when it comes to what you are allowed to do while you have a contract with me, that's where all the other jargon and red tape and fine print come into play. And there's so much that you can't do as a WWE superstar that's ridiculous at this point. Just the things that they can and cannot say on their platforms, just the things that they can and cannot say while on camera. It's like, granted, yeah, you don't want to make the company look bad, but at the same time, you're not a machine. You're an individual. You're a person. You have feelings. You have thoughts. You have ideas. They call you a talent for a reason, because you are talented. You hired me because I'm talented. Let me do what I do. And Vince is always, nope, shut it down. You do what I say. Now, as far as the whole Twitch thing, I do think it's stupid. When you have people like Paige who literally do nothing outside of that, and you kind of take that away from her simply because she's under contract with you, it kind of sucks. And just so you guys know, I don't think that she was fired because she tweeted out that she supports unionization. I don't think she was fired for that. Now, the fact she had an OnlyFans page, that might have had something to do with her getting fired, but I doubt it was because she supports unionization. So, again, we wish Zelina Vega the best. Hopefully everything goes well. I hear AEW's hiring. Alright, man, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank y'all so much for listening. Please be sure to follow the content, subscribe to the content, like the content. Let me know what you think about that content. Visit the website, doyouspeakgeek.com. Follow us on social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please be sure to check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, and like the videos there. As always, live to play to win to live. I speak geek. Do you speak geek?